Hello everyone, welcome to a short video giving a briefing for the BSS071-3 Business in the International Environment Assessment 1, so the first assessment on this unit. We're going to go over the form of the assignment as well as the individual papers contained within the portfolio. But before we do that, I would just like to point out that the unit handbook is a really key resource for us to go through. You'll find the unit handbook on the Brio shell under the unit information and unit welcome folders. It's quite short, it's not a lengthy document like the course handbook. And is really important. It's written in clear English and it has really important information in there. So things like the submission deadlines, the policies around late submissions, failing submissions, and so on, and feedback are all within the unit handbook. As well as this, you have key information about our plagiarism, ChatGPT, and AI policies. So it's worth highlighting that this is in alignment with the university policies on AI tools as well. So when it comes to ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and so on, any AI platform, the basic principle is that you cannot use AI tools to generate any text that go in your actual assignment. However, if you are using ChatGPT or any AI platform or tool to help you with research and planning of the assignment, that is permitted as long as you properly reference the use of these tools. You can find information and a link to the university referencing guidelines in the unit handbook, but referencing the use of AI tools does involve taking screenshots at the time that you're using them. So you should be aware of this before you start using any AI tools for research or planning purposes. Other policies, so homework help services that essentially write any text that you submit, whether it's partial writing or it's writing the full assignment, are absolutely not permitted. That's likely to get picked up by our marking team and result in a viva. Grammarly, as well as any of these other services like Grammarly, which purport to rewrite or improve any text, such as Corebot and so on, are not permitted either. So just be aware of that. If you use Grammarly on this unit, or actually any unit, that is breaching the university and course policies on Grammarly, and that is a problem. We're not going to be able to mark that work. Same thing for Google Translate as well. So if you're using Google Translate to translate a few words or perhaps a sentence, that's absolutely fine. However, if you're using Google Translate for large chunks of text, which you're then putting into your assignment, so i.e. you're writing things in a different language and then you're translating them and to put in your assignment, that is not permitted. So it's an English language course, you must write in English. Translating, again, few words or a sentence here and there isn't an issue, but any large chunks of text, large paragraphs, pages, or the entire assignment, or even entire sections, that is not permitted either. Right, so moving on to the assignment itself, you'll find all the documents you need in the assessment and feedback folder under assignment or assessment 1. You'll find the brief, you'll find the checkpoint template, which we'll discuss in a moment, as well as the process log and the submission link. So assessment 1 is not an orthodox report. It is a portfolio, so it's going to be 4 specific or 4 distinct papers. You're submitting it in a single document, so a single Word document usually, but the actual structure, internal structure, is not going to be that of a report. It is going to be that of 4 separate papers. So questions that always do get asked is, well, do we have to include one reference list or a reference list after each paper? That's entirely up to you. Either of those is fine as long as all your work is properly referenced. So you can choose to have element 1 and then a reference list after that, then element 2 and a separate reference list, or you can choose to have a single reference list at the end of all of the papers. That's not an issue either. But this is the internal structure that you must follow. Now you are given choices of key things here. So the first choice you have is the actual business that you are focusing on. So this must be agreed with your tutor. So please do speak to your tutor in class. There's also a checkpoint where you're expected to have a conversation with your tutor to discuss how you're approaching the assessment. So you are required to choose. I mean, it sounds obvious considering this is an international business unit, but your business must be international, which means that it must operate in at least 2 countries. As well as that, because you are conducting analysis around the company, it really should be a company which is high profile enough that you can find enough publicly available information to actually conduct good analysis. So if there's a company which is an international business which is operating in 2 countries, but let's say it's a relatively small business, it's a local SME, you may even know the business, you may work in the business, or it's owned by a friend of yours, but it doesn't have much publicly accessible information. That's a problem. You're not going to be able to demonstrate your research ability. Your analysis is going to be weak because it's not going to be based upon publicly available sources. So you really do want to avoid that. What you want to do is choose a company which is large enough that there is quite a bit of information available. There's newspaper articles, there's industry reports, there's information available from their own website, and broader information available. That's going to be much more useful and much stronger. So what you will be asked to do in the checkpoint is not just say I want to use company X, but actually present your approach for the assignment and how you plan on tackling key parts of the assignment. Well, once you've made your choice about the company, the next thing to do is to choose which or how you're going to approach each of these elements. So these aren't optional. You must do 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you do have 4 distinct portfolio papers or portfolio elements within your assessment 1 submission. But your choice of what you choose to focus on for each of the portfolio papers or portfolio elements is up to you. So if we go through these one by one, element 1 is macro environmental analysis. So you guys have done PESTEL before in other units. So here we're looking for a more detailed part PESTEL analysis. So you can choose one of the 4 specific macro environmental issues. So you can do political, economic, social, or legal analysis, and then look at your national environment for your specific company. So let's say you're choosing Nestle, and the country you're going to look at is Nestle operating in, say, Spain. And you choose to examine the political analysis or the political macro environment. What we don't want to do is to have a general discussion about political factors within Spain. We want political factors within Spain which are relevant or affect Nestle's operation within Spain. Same thing when it comes to economic factors. So let's say you've chosen Coca-Cola. And you're looking at Coca-Cola's operation in Mexico. Again, we're looking for specific economic factors relevant or that affect or impact Coca-Cola's operation within Mexico. So there may be tariffs, it may be political regulation, but things which are directly relevant. So that's how we want to approach this particular portfolio paper or portfolio element. If you're just doing a generic, basic kind of survey of political or social factors, which are fairly broad and general, that's not going to get a very good mark. So at this level, at level 6 in your final year, your final semester, we are looking at being able to have a targeted, specific analysis of the relevant factor. Going on to element 2, so this is where, again, about 700 words, approximately the same as the first element. You're examining and analyzing a specific ethical issue. So whereas we were using pastel in element 1, here we would like you to either use stakeholder analysis to identify the relevant stakeholders in the ethical issue and their ethical responsibility, or CSR, corporate social responsibility, as a framework to examine a specific ethical issue. So if it was the two companies we mentioned, so Nestle have got a ton of ethical issues relating to their international operation, adding harmful sugar additives. I think it is in formula milk, baby milk in Africa. There's issues with their safety of their products being sold in China, multiple products, I believe, and there's a lot of ethical issues relating to Nestle. So you choose one, you apply stakeholder analysis or CSR to help you understand and analyze that specific issue. It's not a huge word count, so you need to be very concise and very organized with how you approach it. Just because a word count is 700 words, we're not looking for, again, like a level 4 style approach where you spend most of those words just describing the issue. If your work is descriptive and you're just describing the ethical issue, you're not going to get a passing mark for this particular element. You must demonstrate your ability to actually analyze the issue. That means applying a theoretical model or an academic model, and it means actually examining the issue, not just relating the basic facts relating to that issue. So if we move on to element 3, this is an analysis of the international strategy. So in week 1 and 2 of the unit, you're looking at the different international strategies available to global businesses or international businesses, global strategy, multi-domestic strategy, or transnational strategy. There's specific ways we can identify the impact of these strategies, or which of these strategies are being used. Companies don't have on their website, we are using a global strategy or we are using a transnational strategy. These are academic taxonomies, academic terms, but you will be able to examine how the company operates and then evaluate which strategy is actually being used. That's what you need to do. So you're actually looking at the practical impact of the strategy on the operation, not just the theoretical just labeling it's a transnational strategy, but it is because of A, B, and C, and this is how we can see that strategy in operation. That's, again, 700 words approximately, so being concise, being very organized in how you present your analysis. The last element, portfolio paper or portfolio element, is the process log. You guys have done loads of process logs by now, but please do take a look at this process log because it is using a different format than normal. I dislike it. It's quite hard to copy and paste the old process log format. So this is a different format. Some of the questions are different and specific to this unit and assessment as well. So please do make sure you use the correct template, which is on the Brio shell. Okay. So just to move on to talk about the overall assessment process, although we have mentioned a few key things. So it is a portfolio assessment. It is not a orthodox business report. So you have distinct portfolio papers or portfolio elements, each of them presented on a separate page. Actually, the assessment brief does say a single reference list here at the end. I do stand by, if you are insisting on having a reference list per element or paper, that's not necessary, that's not an issue. But it is structured like a portfolio with separate elements. There is a checkpoint where you have to discuss your approach and ideas with a tutor and get formal feedback. It will be oral feedback rather than written feedback, but obviously speak to your tutor at any point during the assessment process if you want some help and advice. Please use the checkpoint template and come to your class in week 3 with it fully filled in and completed, and then record the oral feedback given during the checkpoint session on the process log. Additional notes in the assessment brief. We've spoken before about being clear and concise. So clarity is important here. Demonstrate your analytical content, not just descriptive writing. So you're not just explaining or describing things. You're actually presenting your considered analysis of the three different areas that you've selected for the portfolio. Using a good amount of academic content, so not just relying on general online sources. Now, some sources are going to be high quality non-academic sources. Newspaper articles is the most obvious one, particularly for your ethical paper for element 2, but you also want to use enough peer-reviewed academic journal articles. So even in element 2, where you're talking about an ethical issue, you are going to be leaning on newspaper articles and so on for that. But you also want to apply and discuss in the light of CSR or stakeholder theory. So there should also be a good amount of academic content there. And just make sure your work is properly presented. So using professional standard of presentation, proper Harvard referencing, and so on also. Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much for listening, guys. And yeah, please do contact myself or the tutor if you have any issues or questions.